Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here. A couple of disclaimers. I left BFM full-time in May this year. I'm still contributing. And you design your life out of it, right? After 15 years, it was time for a change. What else? Did you say that? I have to say change already. And then you're like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here talking about design thinking, right? So a couple of years ago, I read this book called Design Your Life, right? And it was by these two MIT Stanford lecturers. And Stanford actually well known for design thinking for products and all that. Anyway, a disclaimer, who knows design thinking really well? So I'm just going to simplify it into how? Okay, you give the talk. Okay, correct me wherever I'm wrong. Correct me wherever I'm wrong. But the whole concept so I read the book and I was very intrigued about the idea of design thinking for your life, and then they use the principles, for product innovation and use that for life. And then after that, I did timing. 2019, I signed up for this course, 9-month course. November, December, I did a postgraduate diploma in design thinking to understand the process. And then pandemic happened, right? Which was great. I had time to do homework. So life is good that way. So sometimes you design also, strange things do happen. And life will go as it. So why I find that design thinking is really useful is that you can use all these elements in areas of your life that you want to work on. So this is something that I find maybe in the last if I talk about my life journey, I don't know if I have time to talk about my life journey. I had no plans to go into media. So some things just happened. My degree was in Bachelor of Business Marketing, and there was this couple of people who came today who brought me in, and then so they're in Australia, so I used to study in Australia as well. So I did a degree in marketing, full-time job working for public relations, working for a PR consultancy, and then working in IBM, and then the part-time thing was a newsreader for fun. 15 years ago, I decided to join this organization, this standalone independent organization, 30% pay cut. I don't know why I wanted to join this. There was this big calling. It was unproven. And I did the Gideon test with God. And I said, okay, God, only if I get a sabbatical. And this is IBM, where sabbatical is not a given. It depends on the boss that you have at the time. And my boss approved. Knowing that I'm working somewhere else, I get a sabbatical. Isn't God great? So I did this. So a couple of things happened along the way, and I think during that period was when I got very intrigued about how you can plan things, and then also some things don't come as planned. Life happens, right? So I think as I share a little bit, I'll give you the science of things. Okay, this was a book that I also wrote during the pandemic. Okay. A book that I wrote during pandemic because there was, again, nothing else to do. So I said, no Netflix until you write 1,000 words a day, right? So the reward is you get to do something after you write 1,000 words. So over 40 days, right, I wrote about, 1,000 words a day. And that was, talking about life stages, right? And talking about how life's a stage, but also that life happens in stages. But the beauty of it is also that you can redesign your life, reinvent yourself at any time, right? And just do something different. Again, so it was timing, doing my postgrad diploma, writing book, 1 week in the office, 1 week not in the office. So you use your time effectively. You can't go anywhere. So throughout your life, you'll go through experiences that will test you, okay? I think that's law of relativity. If you believe in the human kind of aspect, if you read the Bible, you also know that, there's going to be things that are going to test you. They're going to test you in your personal life, they're going to test you in your spiritual life, and all this sort of things. So you can plan as much as you want, but some things also you have to trust the process and trust God, right? Okay, so what is design thinking? As I was explaining a little earlier on, this whole concept of why you need design. I don't think we have time to do exercises, but I'll go through what I did, and maybe you can do that at home, right? So this is the very scientific one. This is the one I cut and paste from Stanford. So it goes through the whole process of empathize. So empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, right? Also, what happens with this whole concept of empathize is how do products come about, right? Products come about because you see a problem. Maybe somebody walking with like people in wheelchair couldn't get it. And then someone thought, oh, maybe you should build a ramp. I mean, you take it for granted, right? Sometimes you think until you've been in that situation, you empathize with the situation, then ramps came about. And for the longest time, we didn't have ramps, right? And then people with wheelchair had problems. So you then define the problem. So we had to do this whole exercise. It's a lot more complicated, so I won't go through 9 months with you. And then after, start thinking of ideas, and then test out your ideas, prototype your ideas and test out. So we had to draw things out, and it wasn't a test when you're drawing because you fail, but sometimes when you write it down and draw it out, you visualize it. A lot of people would like to straight away go into ideate, okay? That's us, right? We just want to ideate, but we don't spend the time to empathize and understand. And we always like to see things from our perspective until you talk to different people, then you get a different idea. So that's the Stanford, or the principles behind it in Stanford, right? Now, if I were to put, you're so small, hey, breaking it down. Okay, so in this case here, empathize. Whatever area in your life, start where you are, okay? So wherever one area you want to improve, and if you have no ideas, I'll share with you what I did, okay? Define what it is, right? And build a compass of where you want to go, right? In a certain area. Sometimes it doesn't have, and this is a great time. Today is, I think, 100 days before the year ends, I think, right? Pastor Elisha always sends me this WhatsApp. It's 100 days, so he'll remind me this thing. So it's about, 100 days, and maybe it's time to think what 2024 is going to be like. I love doing these goal setting. I am one of those people. And when I don't achieve it, it's okay, but if at least I planned it, something gets done, right? The Odyssey plan is, you have 3, it's a process, you can check that out, where life is as is, you don't plan. If money and time is not an issue, this is a plan. And then if everything that was taken from you, what is your plan? So that there is a whole thing that you can actually do this test with yourself, right? Okay. And then prototype. Okay, what happened to prototype? Huh? Okay. So research. How do you research? You go through a process where I talk to people, and maybe my job is so easy, right? Because I talk to people all the time. And it's easy for me to call someone and say, hey, I want to understand this a little bit more. But you can always send a LinkedIn message to someone. I want to understand a little bit what you do. I do get people say, hey, I want to be an MC. I want to be what? Yeah, we can have a call. We can have a 10-minute call. We can chat, right? So you research by finding out more, and then you experiment, right? So someone the other day was saying, oh, I want to get into this. How do I get into this? I said, well, you do voluntary work first, right? Don't expect, you do voluntary work, you experiment, you really like it. Is this something that you can tahan, right? And then before you decide to take this professionally or whatever. Now, so back to Thomas Edison, right? On his design, I've not failed. There are many things that I've tried, right? That I didn't like, didn't enjoy, didn't pursue, didn't continue. But I'm glad I did, right? It's what did I do? Some couple signed up for guitar lessons, didn't turn up. I bought a very expensive guitar, thinking that I'll do it, didn't do it. So there are many things that you want to do, but never get around to do it. But hey, I was like, I have to cut my fingernails. So vanity took over. Okay. So design thinking has the aspiration to solve complex problems and creative, and where are the more complex problems in our lives, right? So, okay, this is the thing. If you want to work on one area of life, this is what I always do every year. I go through the wheel of life. I go through the wheel of life and I look at all these aspects and what area I want to improve. Sometimes something spiritual could be very simple as go to church every Sunday. That could be a goal for some people. Attend cell every Friday, at least do that. 1 year was, going to Sri Lanka for a mission trip, that was a spiritual thing. 1 year, so health and wellness, I put it down, yes, exercise, walk 5 kilometers a day. One time was, and once, never again, finish a full marathon, So, never again, I literally got the t-shirt and the medal, and it said never again, but, that was one of the big goal, right, for that year. And I didn't want to wait till the end of the year, so it was I went to the Gold Coast because it's flat. And it's, so that was the reason I did that. And I did it in July because I can't stand having to think about it for the whole year for, just get it over and done with. So other things as well. Now, whether it's your career, what you want to do, something different with your career. But I always feel that like the wheel of life, very important. Seriously get your spiritual life right, because if your cup is empty, it's very difficult to do other things, right? And this is something that I really feel that if that is not settled, right, everything else feels very incomplete, right? But also at the same time, why this got me going was because when you don't, so I'm a single mother, and I feel that the reason the wake up call was when my marriage ended, right? And it's like, okay, you like to blame the other person, but you also put some. You say, what is it? Did I not focus enough on the relationship, right? So there's also a lot of self-reflection in that sense. So then you realize it's also important, right? Every aspect of your life is important. You don't want to be successful financially and then to turn around and say, hey, where's my family? Yeah? Right? And you hear stories like that, right? Okay. Have you all seen this before as well? If you have, this is so everybody, you've probably seen this, but the fancy name is the Eisenhower decision matrix, right? The urgent, this was popularized by Stephen Covey in his book, 7 Habits, yeah? So the thing is, like, a lot of time we spend things that are important and urgent, and don't spend enough time on the important, not urgent, right? And I think where you can use design thinking is to spend time on the important, not urgent. For example, if you don't exercise today, you won't feel the effects tomorrow. You don't exercise today, you'll feel the effects 10 years from now. And then it becomes urgent and important, right? So look at where things are going to be in a year's time, 5 years' time. What lifestyle changes do I need to make? What are the things I need to change, right? So I use that with the wheel of life, and I do that together with what's important, not urgent, right? And hopefully, a lot of times when something kind of important is urgent, is because you didn't spend time, right? Relationship building, time with my son. So that's important. He's now in 21 in November, and I made sure that there was definitely time with him at different stages of his life, right? When he was 14, 15, don't spend time with the mom, it's okay, you're still coming to church every Sunday with me, and that's a given. We will always have that family time together. The rest huh? Okay, I'm talking very fast. Okay, why you need design thinking? Like I said, okay, when you wonder what comes next, empathy is essential for development, and a personally efficacious life is a happy life. And I feel that since I quit full-time employment, right, and then you always wonder, like, oh, what's going to happen next? And it was, but at the same time, I'm so tied up at the moment, and I thank God that work is coming in and all that. But I think I need to step back. It's 100 days before the year ends. Like, what is going to be important priority, right? So, okay, you can initiate change anytime. So, disclaimers: enjoy the journey, right? Maybe one area you want to look at, right? Let other people help us. You're laughing because you're curious. Try new things, and we look at problems from different angles, and not either, but as well. So things you can do differently. Now I'm going to do this very simple exercise, right? Okay, and sorry, I can give you the slide. Try out new things, right? One. If it's so difficult, one new thing you want to do next year. So this year, I love learning. I'm always about learning. So this year I finished a sustainability course. This year, just different things, different experiences. Some things work, some things don't. And like I said, it's okay. Now, this very simple exercise and I'll explain this in different contexts, right? And I use BFM as an exercise at that time. And let me put it I give this talk from a career perspective, right? Because it's a Biztalk, right? So I give it from a career perspective. You look at, so when I was doing this talk, what happened was that for 2 years, nobody was in the car because of the pandemic, right? So then you look at what they call weak signals, right? Weak signals of what's happening around the world, and sometimes the weak signals will become strong, or maybe it'll disappear. Kodak came out with a digital film. This was a weak signal that they didn't pay attention to, and it completely destroyed their company, right? So when I talk about weak signals, right, so when you look at You look at it from the customer perspective, the technological, non-traditional competitors, new and regulatory changes. So as I was saying, right, during that period, when people stop listening to radio, will it be a permanent change? Will it be a permanent change? People start listening to podcasts, right? And they've got their particular podcasts that they listen to, or they they go into videos and YouTube and they couldn't be bothered anymore. Now, will that be a permanent change? Now, if that's a permanent change, how will that affect my job, right? So you start thinking about it. Not everybody's still driving, so, and then a lot of people get into Grab, right? I get into Grab. Whatever the driver is listening, I don't tell him to change to that station, right? So that's also one thing, right? So this is all affecting whether people listen to you or not, right? Technological discontinuity. Who has a radio at home? Okay, do you all know what a radio looks like? The younger people, they don't know, may not even know what a radio looks like, right? But who still owns it? Okay, you got your laptop and everything, but right? So you still have your whatever gadget and all that. But right, so you look at technological discontinuities. What does it mean? How will it affect your industry? And so look at it from the industry perspective. So and then you get an idea of what's gonna happen here. Okay, and sometimes you don't have to worry so much as well. When Microsoft first came out with Excel, accountants thought they were going to lose their job, right? So this obviously new jobs will be created in the process, but non-traditional competitors, as I was saying, right? You used to be the radios, another radio station is my competitor. So you also look at non-traditional competitors. Who is taking the attention of the station that I'm working for, right? It's not just radio. Long ago, there was a song called "Video Killed the Radio Star." It didn't. Video is dead. But and if I listen to, why would I listen to BFM? Maybe I prefer to listen to BBC or NPR, a bigger one, right? So start thinking about traditional and non-traditional competitors. New distribution channels, Spotify, YouTube. That's what's happening. Now, regulatory changes. So once upon a time, you'd be worried as well when you talk about regulatory changes, if you all listen to BFM, we have been in trouble many times. Many times we've had summons and all that. Like before 2018, we had a lot of this trouble, right? But now, people are just starting their podcasts without needing a license, right? And then so whether regulatory changes will affect your industry, or in our case, they can't stop. If there's a competition comes along, no regulatory bodies can't stop it, right? So then that's new competition for us. So this is just whatever industry you're in, think about what's happening, right? You've got ChatGPT, Fly FM has this AI, right? She's Aina, her name is Aina or something. You see her, I think she comes on in the afternoon, you go to the Fly FM Instagram page, you see this girl, Malay girl, Tudong, speaks English really well, and she's completely AI, right? So, how's it gonna affect my job? If I'm just only a radio presenter, how is it gonna affect my job? Okay. Okay, so this one, no, y'all don't bother, okay, y'all do this at home. Okay, now, I just want to end off with this. Got 20 minutes, okay? I want to talk about how you can design your life, seriously. My life has been such that some things just happen in my path and some things, just don't happen. I have to trust. As much as I design my life, I have to trust where doors have closed for me, and sometimes it takes 20, 30 years to realize, oh, no wonder you closed that door, okay? Now, when I was 14 years old, I was just sharing, I was actually, my father was from Kuching, my mother's from Miri, they met in Brunei, everybody worked for Shell, right? Everybody worked for Shell, so dad used to work for Shell, so this was my growing up, right? This is my life, this is my world, the country I was born in, everything. Then dad said, dad had to retire and I had to come back to Sarawak. And it was the end of my world, right? It was the end of my world because this is the only home. At 14, that's all you've ever seen. And the irony was that, like, my parents had permanent residence. I have 3 older siblings. Everybody had permanent residence except me. So no matter what, that God has closed that door for me, right? And then you wonder, because that was your world, right? And you think, why? Then about maybe 10 years ago, oh, okay, God, you really don't want me to even consider that place. But at 14, you think that's all you know, right? But then you realize that, okay, that's just one example of many where doors have opened, doors have closed. Even the whole idea of broadcasting, right? How I got into this was something that was not planned in my life. And how the doors opened for me was in Kuching, right? Where maybe I'll share the story later. This one gets a bit, but how the opportunity came about. I never auditioned for anything, and the doors just opened for me to get to work for RTM in news and radio and TV. And then I just kept on with the part-time thing, not thinking that I would ever go into this full time. Happy with my steady job at IBM, and things changed. Yeah. So anyway, this is just a rough idea behind design thinking. Do I pass back to you? Okay. Feel free to ask questions. Okay.